Spring is late in coming to Yellowstone National Park, but the bison are out and the hunt is already underway.
When you cross that river and you get on the other side, it's like being in Jurassic Park. You're so worried the whole time that there's a grizzly bear right behind you.
Carissa Krice and her sisters have driven across 5 states to Montana's Rocky Mountains, and they believe they're well equipped for the dangers they may face.
Bear bells, supposed to make a lot of noise because bears, you don't want to sneak up on them.
But these sisters aren't stalking bears, they're hunting for gold.
Go, Libby.
There you go.
There you go.
No Indian marks. Man, that's a good spot right there. Yeah, if he's carrying 20 pounds of gold, 22 pounds of gold, and then he had to walk back to his car and get 22 more pounds, and was carrying a digging shovel.
What's brought these sisters here are clues to the location of a treasure chest hidden by an eccentric multimillionaire named Forrest Fenn.
There are hundreds and hundreds of gold nuggets in that treasure chest. 2 of them are as big as a chicken egg. I wanted it to be visual enough to strike somebody's fancy, somebody to tell themselves, yeah, I'm going to go look for this.
Forrest Fenn's autobiography, The Thrill of the Chase, provides the only clues to the hidden gold. The treasure map is a riddle, spelled out in the lines of this poem.
Begin at where warm waters halt, and take it in the canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk. Put in below the home of Brown. From there it's no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. There'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high.
Hey, I'm gonna take a flashlight. No, I have one of those in the car.
This is a good one.
For almost a year, the Krice sisters have been trying to make sense of Fenn's enigmatic verses.
You've been wise and found the blaze. Look quickly down your quest to seize, but tarry scant with marvel gaze. Just take the chest and go in peace.
Forrest Fenn's poem has captured a nation's imagination, sparking a treasure hunting craze that spread from coast to coast. For those caught in the grip of gold fever, it's a race against time to crack the code.
Oh man, what a view. You need this. Come on, show me where it's at.
In New Mexico, 1,000 kilometres to the south of the Krice sisters, Dale Neatsman is on his 37th expedition to find the treasure.
So, what I'd settle for up here is a nice petroglyph, some kind of Indian rock carving that says the treasure is here.
For Dale, cracking Forrest Fenn's cryptic code has become an obsession.
Look at this stuff. Look at how broken up it is. Now, if there was a blaze, you know, like that igneous rock coming down, an intrusion in that stuff, coming right down, right to that cave, man, you'd find me in that hole in a second.
After researching Fenn's poem, Dale believes the clues relate to the Aztec Indian tribe that once lived here.
So, Forrest is tricky, and he knows a lot about Indian methods. I think if you find the place, if you find the blaze, you're going to spend a lot of time finding his hidey place.
While Dale's interpretation has led him here to the southern Rockies, for the Krice sisters, all the clues point to the north.
Here, just till I get to that ledge right there. Let me look over.
The sisters believe the poem relates to Forrest Fenn's childhood, leading them here to Yellowstone.
When we found out about Forrest Fenn and read about him, it was like our dad. So we clicked. And yeah, when we read the book and, you know, put the pieces together, when we saw this, it was like, this is it. This had to be his favorite spot.
People have been pretty close, but the people that have been the closest don't know that they were close. There's 10% of me that wants to help them, but the 90% supersedes the 10%.
But while Dale and the sisters are certain of their progress, skeptics say they're being duped.
The Templar Knights, the Holy Grail, all of these lost treasures, they don't exist. They've never been found.
Archaeologist Ron Maldonado has spent decades unearthing America's history, and he reckons the tale of Fenn's gold is just another myth.
We now have this Forrest Fenn treasure that no one will ever find. Not in my lifetime, not in the next lifetime, not in the 3 lifetimes, because it doesn't exist.
Oh my God, just think of them poor Mormons crossing Donner Pass. Holy moly.
Real or not, solving Fenn's puzzle is a gargantuan task. With just a few vague clues, the search area extends to the Canadian border.
Is this the trail? How can you find the trail?
But in the wilds of the Rockies, hunting for treasure is a risky business. So it's late afternoon and I'm driving through the middle of Yellowstone National Park. It's snowing, really harsh conditions, and it's into this environment that more and more people are coming to look for Forrest Fenn's treasure. In fact, so many treasure hunters that emergency resources are being stretched to the limit.
We've had probably 5 major incidents associated with people looking for this purported treasure.
In Yellowstone National Park, Chief Ranger Tim Reed is now dealing with the fallout from Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt.
Now, I understand you've just had an incident today in relation to this treasure hunt.
We had an incident today where we arrested 2 people who had approximately a week ago caused a search and rescue event when they were swept away down a river while looking for the treasure. And they came back and committed another violation, criminal act, and we arrested them and took them to jail.
It's now 4 years since the hunt began, and growing devotion is pushing searchers to extremes. For those on the trail, bad news travels fast, with word there's a treasure hunter now lost in the wilderness.
This is the first year that I've known of any of this to happen. So in the past, we've never had anything like this to discuss, and now one party is missing.
Since the hunt began, Dale has forged a close friendship with Forrest Fenn, and from inside his Santa Fe mansion, we find him embroiled in the rescue effort for the missing searcher.
Let me know as soon as you find out anything, and I'm not going to tell his wife yet.
Okay, very good.
Thanks, pal. Well, he didn't sleep in his room last night, although some of his things were still in the room.
It's clear this latest twist is weighing heavily on Forrest's mind.
I don't feel like I'm to blame, but I feel somewhat responsible for it, and I will help them any way I can. There's something over here I want to show you.
Despite years of planning, Forrest Fenn could never be sure how the treasure hunt would evolve. But Fenn was determined to leave his mark on history.
Isn't this a great wagon? This wagon was made in 1880.
Having spent his lifetime collecting precious objects from the past, Fenn devised his treasure hunt as a tangible way of giving back to society.
When I had that treasure chest and walked back to my car, it was totally out of my hands. In a loud voice, I said, "Forrest Fenn, did you really do that?" And I started laughing.
This series of photos was commissioned by Forrest before the chest was hidden. It's the only visible evidence that the treasure exists, but it's far from definitive proof.
What about the people that say that the treasure doesn't exist?
What makes you think it's not out there hidden someplace? Give me the facts. Present your evidence. The only way I could prove to you that I hid it is to take you out there and show it to you. Then I'd have to kill you.
A tour of the Maverick Millionaires' Santa Fe mansion lends some credence to his story. His walls are a wonderland of ancient artefacts.
A trader brought this pipe to me. It came out of a little mom-and-pop museum.
Fenn made much of his multi-million-dollar fortune trading in Native American relics.
And here's the pipe with Sitting Bull holding it in his mouth. It's the same exact pipe.
In New Mexico, Fenn is regarded as a modern-day Indiana Jones. He even bought the ruins of an Aztec village and dug up its ancient riches for himself.
Are they incredibly expensive as collector's items?
35,000 bucks.
Right.
Forrest's workshop contains one of the most impressive private collections of Native American antiquities in the world.
This is a typical size of an arrow point.
But some archaeologists regard the stockpile as private plunder.
Some people have called you a looter. How do you respond to those sorts of claims?
Well, I don't respond, but the definition between a looter and an archaeologist is that one has a permit and the other one doesn't. Archaeologists don't like anybody that has an Indian ruin on their land and excavates it, unless they have a PhD in archaeology. But the law's on my side. The law says I can do what I want to on my own land.
But Forrest Fenn's zeal to dig up the past has appalled Native Americans.
I think he's done not only Native America, but I think Americans in general an injustice by doing this, by kind of sending this message of there's a treasure out there, go get it.
Archaeologist Ron Maldonado works for the Navajo Nation, the largest Native American reservation in the US. He's brought me to the Chaco Canyon, a World Heritage Site containing the remnants of an Aztec civilization thousands of years old.
They're just potsherds, you know, just look at it. It's nice, it's pretty, and then leave it alone and walk away from it, you know, because if you don't know how to use it, you shouldn't take it.
Let alone dig up buried treasure.
Exactly, let alone dig up buried treasure.
Chaco is one of several cultural landmarks targeted by reckless treasure hunters, trespassing on Indian lands, digging for Fenn's gold.
If you get caught doing this and you have your brand new 2014 four-wheel drive vehicle, guess who gets to keep it? You know, law enforcement, or, you know, in the case of Navajo, me.
I've said in my book that the treasure is hidden in the Rocky Mountains north of Santa Fe. And I'm not going to tell the Indians that it's not on Indian land. I'm not going to tell the Forest Service it's not on Forest Service land. I'm not going to tell some rancher out there it's not on his land. It's in the Rocky Mountains. And I'm not going to narrow the search down.
But as Fenn's legend grows, so too does the potential fallout. And as this wily 83-year-old has discovered, it can sometimes get personal.
I've had about 4 or 5 threats. This one guy says, tell me where the treasure is right this second or I'm going to kill you. I've called 911 3 times, arrested people at my front gate.
Police say Kevin Fulham was parked at Fenn's house yesterday and refused to leave. Fulham allegedly confronted one cop, and then he was arrested for aggravated assault on a peace officer.
Although he anticipated a lunatic fringe, Forrest has been shocked at the extent of their deranged behaviour.
I've had people told me that they were going to go to Temple, Texas and dig in my father's grave because of my treasure chest. And I remind them, you know, the treasure chest is north of Santa Fe. I've had 10 people tell me they're going to dig in my father's grave.
In New Mexico's backcountry, I've been invited to attend a special event called Fennbaree.
It'll attract a lot of searchers. A lot of them will be very obsessed with the treasure hunt.
After hours of traversing remote desert canyons, I soon discover that the defining line between curiosity and obsession is as elusive as Forrest Fenn's gold.
Everybody say treasure.
Treasure!
You think it's in New Mexico?
I'm convinced it's in New Mexico.
The chest has been taken by space aliens.
My husband, he's right over there.
He knows?
He knows where it is.
Who's your buddy that helps you out while you're treasure hunting?
Oh, this is him right here.
Oh, wow.
Why doesn't he just, like, go and get the chest?
If we ever find the treasure, I know he's not going to stab me in the back.
In the middle of their camp, a shrine has been devoted to the man they call the Master Puppeteer. But even amongst his most devoted fans, nagging doubts persist.
Mr. Fenn may have just put the chest away and not hidden anything, for all we know. I don't think Mr. Fenn would do that, but he could have.
Up north, the Christ sisters have no room for such doubts.
This would have been a good spot.
And this is where I'd have put it.
Forrest, you should have put it here.
As they move deeper into the mountains, the women constantly scan the landscape for physical matches to the clues from the poem.
Heavy loads and water high. And after that, you see the blaze. Look around, let me see if you see a blaze.
And what makes you think it's maybe on this side? Because it had to be easy.
Because we didn't find it on that side. It's a pretty good walking trail through here in the spring.
You know, everything fits so much here, you just really have to go through every rock until you find it, don't you?
Just got to find the blaze.
The sisters are reluctant to leave any stone unturned. Despite the constant disappointments, it only appears to strengthen their resolve.
I feel like it makes us more anxious to find it.
Right. Yeah, don't
like,
go away.
come on, we've been out here so many times.
Right.
We got to find it.
And every time we come out, we find something that seems to tie us into the poem just a little bit more.
Yeah,
and
the
we
more
feel,
exploring you do, the more closer you feel like you're to it.
yeah.
None of us have found the treasure, but we found little treasures on the way. We found places that we never would have bothered to go to that are pretty interesting and pretty fascinating and beautiful. That we would have never seen if it hadn't been for Forrest's treasure hunt.
But perhaps the biggest reward of all is reserved for the only man that isn't looking.
I love the fact that I'm the only one that knows where it is, and that I've started a fire under the imagination of a lot of people. I mean, I'm 83 years old. I may have a few months yet to live, and if nobody finds the treasure, I promise you, 1,000 years from now, that people will still be looking.